Yeah, we are live with the legend, and I'm so excited. He's got a brand new album out. I just finished listening and laughing really hard. It's all off the cuff. One of the most talented comics working of our generation and an all-around great guy. The new album is Free State of California. Greg Proops is here. There's the album behind him there as we're finding him somewhere on tour with where are you? Where are we finding you? Welcome back.
Greenville. Hi, Pete. Thanks
Hi.
for listening to my album. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina with the Who's Live guys. And we have a show tonight.
And if anybody wants
to Who's Live, see what we did? We took the show Who's Line and we turned it into Who's Live.
I was wondering how you possibly got the rights. who'slive.com for dates. They are in South Carolina and Georgia and Alabama. You got a new soul album out. You taped it. You recorded it on New Year's Eve. You do this every year in San Francisco, where you know a lot of people and you're from and came up as a comic. It's off the cuff. It's hilarious. It's Free State of California. I just want to say this. I felt attacked and unsafe as a white person. While I was walking through a white neighborhood listening to it, I felt really attacked. Why do you go so hard against the whites?
Well, Pete, whites have really look at white people's accomplishments, especially right now this year, and where white men are standing right now with everybody in the public. And you know what? It's just magnificent, isn't it? It's magic. We're friendly. We're adaptable. We love young people. Some of us love young people more than other guys. I attack white people because, the dominant paradigm and all that. I really feel like punching down as a poor comedic tool. Also, I've had a couple people already come at me and say that they're from Ohio. And I do take out Ohio a little bit in this one, but I take out everywhere. Let's be honest. The South, the North, California, but I really love to take out the Midwest. It's fun for me.
Yeah. The other point where I was really like, oh, this is just too much and mean, was when you attacked one of the greatest presidents ever, is Ronald Reagan. You really, I felt bad laughing. I felt very bad because he's a hero of mine. And then there I was laughing very hard.
Yeah. Well, Ronald Reagan was nominally from California. He certainly did some of his best movie work there. As I was saying in the album, I think my joke was he made several movies with a chimp, and then we made him president. So if you think this whole making underqualified people into presidents is a new thing, and the object or the idea being, in between the time he made the chimp movies and the time he became president, he studied really hard to learn about being a president.
That whole bit was so funny. It's weird because like you could read an essay or even a biography, a book about Ronald Reagan and one that would be critical, but the way that you talk about him off the cuff and those chimp movies, it was a really interesting distillation about how much of a fucking idiot he was and we were to buy into the fact that somehow he got to be governor, but that before he was an actor. And you mentioned his wife, Nancy Reagan, was like consulting like a palm reader, a crystal ball, and then making policy around it. The whole thing was so bad.
Yeah. And that was 8 years of that. And then 4 more with Herbert Walker. And toward the end, after Contragate, which our friend Dave Foley would always say to me, is arguably worse than anything that Watergate.
The Iran-Contra affair.
Yeah, the Iran-Contra affair was drugs for money. They were smuggling. They were buying money to overthrow governments in Central America. They were using American military aircraft. He called the people that were killing nuns and rebels in Central America the moral equivalent of the founding fathers. At one point in the testimony, he was brought in and he said the words, "I don't know," 72 times in one hearing. So it was a private hearing, mind you. This was the old days. They got him alone and they asked him about Iran-Contra, and he went, I don't know. Well, I don't know. And yet we still believe that we have bad presidents now, which we do. My point is always that the bar has been so low for white guys for so long. I mean, How many presidents were slave owners? 10 out of the 40 or 47?
Greg, calm down. Okay, there's no need to attack. You come in this. You come in here. I've said, it's enough.
Okay.
It's the founding fathers. Okay,
Right.
It was a different time. Not all whites. Not even all. I can't. Not even all founding fathers owned slaves. So what about the good ones?
You mean John Adams? You reminded me of what Dick Cheney passed away last week, and you could tell because there was that giant solar flare this week, and because when someone that evil erupts into the universe, of course it creates an enormous carbon mass outside of our.
Listen, I don't know how you do what you do, like the improv. I mean, I in any setting, but this stand-up album. But I'm sure you have some ideas of things you want to talk about. And I would just love to just make a request for this New Year's Eve taping. Will you be taping?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The 30th and the 31st.
Like as you go through the year a little bit, I'm guessing, or not necessarily. I'm not sure that there's any real plan or strategy. Please do some stuff. Just talk about Dick Cheney. And if I could get a little bit more specific, just remember he shot a guy in the face and the guy apologized. If you want to just remind people of that on New Year's Eve, I'd love to hear you riff longer then or now.
Well, I did an album years ago when it happened, and there's when he died, I posted it on social media about the man shooting him. What was it? A couple hundred rounds of 20 weight bird shot, which I said hit his best friend in a Shakespearean matter from knave to chops, and then he apologized for it. And I said, it's been a long time since we've had a vice president arrested around here for shooting someone. I think you find the last one was Aaron Burr when he shot Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
Are you from New Jersey?
No.
Well, that's where it happened. When Dick Cheney died last week, or whatever happened to him, he passed on. Drew Carey used to do a joke where he'd go, I had the same operation as Dick Cheney, except they left my heart in. Dick Cheney did one good thing in his life, and that was last year when the election was rolling, he went in public and said, you mustn't vote for Orange 45. He said, you've got to vote for Kamala Harris. And for someone of his magnitude and evil and a lifetime of right-wing politics to say, vote for the black woman, I thought, well, there you are. Of course, people misinterpreted and were like, she's got Dick Cheney on her side. It's like, no, he saw that what was going to happen and what has happened. Having said that, years ago, I was in Aspen, right? And it wasn't the Aspen Festival. I don't know if you remember the Aspen Festival.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It was a chance for network people and millionaires to get together and do cocaine over the course of 4 or 5 days in a warm, comfortable atmosphere, high in an alpine setting. And there was a guy who opened a comedy club in that town, which is why did you do that? Anyway, right. He had me there the first week. And then all the comics he had booked after me were like Keenan and a bunch of black dudes. And I was like, do you know where we are? There are no, it's Aspen. So there's millionaires, then the billionaires live there. And then all the people who work in Aspen at all the restaurants live down, I'm pointing to orient you, down Valley, right?
The Valley.
So anyway, it was the ending of the second term of W. and Cheney. And I was doing 30 minutes on Cheney and I wouldn't. And finally, and the audience was kind of not that receptive because they were rich people. Finally, a rich guy in the front went, and you'll love this, Pete. Enough. That was the whole heckle. He didn't yell. He just went, enough. And I went, Dick Cheney's polling at 16% right now. And I found you. I found the 16%.
It's sadly an anecdote that any performer and any comic can relate to that has ever performed in an affluent setting or country club, or specifically in Aspen. You're talking about the HBO, the old Aspen Comedy Festival. I never performed there. I tried. I never got in. But I did perform stand-up in Aspen as part of the Aspen Ideas Festival, which is something obviously different, with the Aspen Institute. When I was at Sirius, I created this part. Anyway, there I was on stage, just like you're describing it, in front of the wealthiest. And it was that week where Aspen Ideas, so even wealthier people. So in the audience, I knew there were like 3 billionaires or multimillionaires. Michael Eisner and Barbara Streisand were in the audience. But it was the only time I ever did a joke. I mean, I just made it up in the spot because why would you ever write a joke about credit default swaps? It was post financial crisis. So it was like 2012 and I was underwater on my mortgage. And the joke was like, I finally have an audience of people who I can blame. Yeah. And I'll never have this again. But the exact same thing happened. I think the rule is in front of a super rich, affluent audience, the first 2 jokes at their expense, fine. On joke 3, they're like, I earned this.
Yeah. No, right. I earned this. That's so good. It's so true. I was asked to do a benefit once and it was for starving children. And it had a great, rich people charities where none of the money goes to the charity, but they have a big party anyway. It was called something like Children Are Hungry Too. And, or Hungrier Children, something. And they had all these fancy stars. Jeff Daniels was there and Chaka Khan, and I was hosting. And I think it was Frank McCourt or one of those billionaires. And it was during Bush. And I got up and I did 5 minutes on Bush. And everybody laughed. And he came up to me. And by the way, I was doing this for free. He came up to me and he went, hey, you. He didn't know my name. You. We have a lot of Republicans here tonight. And those jokes. And I went, hey, I'm not getting paid. So why don't you tell it to the organizer over there? And he, because as you know, rich people. And once I was in Hamptons and it was a summertime gig where they didn't have their theater. And so they were doing comedy on the weekends at this little theater in the Hamptons. Yeah. So you've been to the Hamptons. I don't know if you have. It's hours east of New York. Yeah. It's nowhere near New York. Like in my mind, I'd always pictured, there's a turtle and a boat or whatever. And when the guy drove me there, I was like, how far is this? And on the way, he's like, Jimmy Buffett lives over there. And Billy Joel lives over there, right? Like he's hipping me to all the mansions. Yeah. We get there and there's a shitty hotel, if you can believe this, in the Hamptons, which is where they put me. The kind of hotel room, Pete, where the air conditioner went all night. So I get up to do my little set and I asked for a pizza, which they acted like I said, could I have a bowl of caviar served to me on the back of a small child, Anyway, a woman got up during my set and she was wandering up and down. And I went, the bathroom, madam, is over there. It's just to your left. And she wandered back and I went, I'm telling you, the restroom that you're looking for is simply over there. If you'll just go to your left. And she wandered some more. And then finally she went in and I said, ladies and gentlemen, she can't hear me because no one below her has ever told her what to do before. And I go, frankly, I'm surprised she can be here tonight knowing how Puerto Ricans steal. And there you are. You've left them alone at your house. I've had so many instances where wealthy people literally, it's like another world, like you said, after the third one, they're like,
By the way, the stereotype of like brown people stealing. I mean, I used to open for Lisa Lampanelli, and she used to always just be like,
"Oh my God, Lisa!"
Yeah, and it would be so fun. It was before a lot changed. She got out right on time, but like it's always fun to make tongue-in-cheek racist stereotypes and stuff. But like if it's about stealing, whenever I think about like petty crime committed by like black and brown people or stupid white people, and people getting outraged by it, I always want to just flip it on their head and be like, do you know how much the wealthiest people are stealing from you? Like somebody might have stolen your wallet or your phone or jewelry or your car even, or your bike. That happened to me. Yeah. Bike. But sure, I think that my house got stolen from me in the financial meltdown. Like I was on a mortgage for 10 years. I was never more angry at the people who did that than those who are, committing. It's just always an interesting to think about the kind of the scale of a crime. And by the way, I got one more, this is very quick, but it's along the lines of performing for affluent people is a benefit. You said I was performing for starving children, which I know we do all these kinds of benefits for underprivileged, whatever. But in this case, it was a benefit in a wealthy suburb in Westchester. And it was all wealthy white families, Greg, and it was to raise money for their trip to take all their sons on the baseball team to the Hall of Fame.
What?
And it was like a fundraiser to raise. And I just went on stage and I go, I do all kinds of worthy fundraisers. I go, but you're rich people raising money to take your kids to the Hall of Fame. Like, why not just pay for it? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why are we raising money?
They really had a benefit for themselves to raise money to drive 4 hours upstate?
I don't understand. I made the 20 minutes. I just made fun of them. I go, all this money should be going to anywhere but yourselves. Anyway, you talk about
Did
white
they laugh
people.
at all?
Yeah, they were able to laugh at themselves.
Yeah, years ago, I remember doing a benefit for a guy in a group in San Francisco, and they were buddies of mine, and they were raising money to go to Edinburgh Festival to put on their show. And finally, at the end of the show, I got on stage and went, "Why don't you just ask me for $50 next time, so I don't have to spend the whole bloody night here? Like, you guys, you're supposed to get your own money to go do your own show."
That reminds me, I should plug my GoFundMe.
Yeah.
It's just for, I just want to get a weekend away.
Yeah, right? That's what, but I mean, saying that you're going to take your kids to the Hall of Fame and then making people actually perform.
They were already, they had like, I'm like, don't use your car, not big enough, but like put your kids in it and drive to fucking Cooperstown. You don't want to be with your kids? What is it? Now, speaking of white people, I got to get your take on a bunch of things. And of course, this is Greg Proops. Everybody knows Greg, but he's got a new album out and it's available right now. I just listened to it. It's called Free State of California. He tapes it live on New Year's Eve in San Francisco last year. He's doing it again. He does it every year. It's off the cuff. It's fucking hilarious. Everybody watching this live stream and everybody listening to the podcast should go pay for the album. Greg Proops, Free State of California, because not only is he one of the funniest, there's very few guys who have his kind of integrity and quality of character. How's that? That's what I wanted to say. So, speaking of which, you remind me of Jeffrey Epstein. Just in the face a little. And when you think of like the worst person in the world, you think of someone who's the most notorious pedophile. Yeah. And if you think like who would be worse than that, you were like, I don't know, except for we learned yesterday that apparently Epstein thought Trump was the worst guy in the world. Yes. Did you hear that one?
Yeah, and he wrote, what was it? No, not a cell of integrity. Dangerous. I've known some bad guys. I'm misquoting it, but I'm getting it kind of in the room. Yeah. He said, I've known some bad guys, but no one as bad as Trump. And this is a pedophile who trafficked young girls. Exactly. To other men, to other people. His partner, Ghislaine, who's in federal penitentiary, much nicer federal penitentiary than she was, is in for 30, 40, 100 years because what they were doing was unspeakable. And he said that Trump was dangerous.
If people could just imagine two other notorious sexual assault, the Penn State coach Sandusky and the Olympics doctor, gymnastics guy Nasser, those two names might ring people's bell that you tried to forget them, but I just remind you, imagine either of those two guys saying another guy was really bad, and I would say that is Donald Trump, or that is the equivalent of Epstein talking about Trump, like Nasser being like, I sexually assaulted hundreds of young gymnasts, but that fucking guy over there he's bad.
Yeah, he really liked it. I mean, how awful do you have to be? I think part of the thing too was, and Epstein even talks about it in those emails, is that Trump doesn't have any money, that it was all on paper. The $100 million home that he got a fee for being the agent on, and then he bought it for 100, undersold it to the Russians, and then lied about it, took the depreciation. And in the email, Epstein of all people, the man with no integrity whatsoever, says, I don't think he ever declared any of that. And it's like, he was as good. By the way, they had Thanksgiving dinner together 2 years into his presidency, right? Or year in to 2017, they had Thanksgiving together. This is while Donald Trump was president. So like this whole, I don't know him, I haven't talked to him in a long time or whatever. They were consorting the first term until he had his Justice Department arrested him, if you recall. His Justice Department put them in that jail. And then whatever oblique thing happened that Bill Barr never answered for, Jeffrey Epstein met his demise. We're calling it a suicide, of course. I won't contradict that because I don't want to be sued. But hey, if Epstein thinks you're a creep, wowzers, McDougal. It really is like Hitler going, have you ever eaten with Stalin? I mean, he's just a pig, He uses the knife to pick up his peas with, and
except for it's not dinner; it's assaulting young women, or children. I'm not supposed to say underage women. I'm supposed to call them children.
They're children. If you're under 18, I used to talk about it on my show and say, if you're having sex with a 16-year-old, you had better be a 16-year-old.
Yes.
Then it's okay. We did that in high school, and after that, not we, the collective,
I mean,
me and my friends.
How old were you when you first made love to a woman, Greg?
Oh, kittens. 16, probably 15, 16, somewhere there.
You were so hip. Yeah.
Right?
Maybe was it you? Was it California? Was it the time? Like I didn't I know almost nobody in my high school did, like one or two, and only if they were like that I knew of, if they were going out for like a while. It was very high.
Well, it was the 70s, and like that. I'm not saying that it was some sort of magnificent performance that should be immortalized in song or anything. It wasn't exactly.
I also want you to talk about losing your virginity on New Year's Eve.
Oh, please no.
Let me go back to right now. There are all these arguments. I just want to know how you talk about and handle this principally. I'm engaging with the MAGAs and my local town Facebook page, which I enjoy. And, just in general, you even see this. I'll be on CNN tomorrow night. This might come up. I doubt it, but maybe one of those right wingers at the table. Well, they'll say, what about Joe Biden and sniffing girls' hair? Or what about Bill Clinton? No. And for me, it's like, here's the thing. I don't need to do that. I don't need to go, what about? Because I'm not on a team. I'm against men or anyone who sexually assaults someone. So I hate Bill Clinton. I've never liked Bill Clinton. I think he's a gross creep. I've never said he wasn't. And I can say that. And I'm not dead loyal to the party or to a person. If a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, found out was raping a woman, like that would be a huge problem for me. So, I mean, the idea that you're going to defend or deflect, what I'm trying to ask you is, what is that called? How do you explain, like, I'm a principled person, so it doesn't matter if it's Democrat doing it or Republican doing it, it's wrong. How do we not all agree there?
Well, you've got integrity. You see, their whole thing is deflection. And what about, right? Everything is, well, what about this? Or how come I didn't hear about that?
Hold on. It's not integrity. It's like it's just asking to be consistent on a principle. I don't think you should steal, regardless of your ethnicity or your tribe, your mentality. I think it's always wrong to. So I feel like it's just a consistency of principle. And is that, I guess, if that's defined as having integrity, but you could be of any ilk and have a consistent principle that you hold to.
You could be, but then you wouldn't be a TV anchor person. Or a pundit, rather, and you certainly wouldn't be the people who are paid to make that argument constantly. I mean, I noticed Scott Jennings wasn't on CNN yesterday, that his shining face was not to be found the whole day. And it makes one wonder, was he out getting his arguments together for tomorrow to talk to you or whatever, or whomever he's going to hit. You heard Megyn Kelly already today with her. And that was one of the most extraordinary abrogations of any type of morality and if you want to go even further, she, I believe, is a woman and said that 15-year-olds can pass for older women and then that somehow that makes it okay, was her point or something like that.
She tried to say that a grown man having any kind of sexual relations with a 15 or 16-year-old is not the same as having them with an 8-year-old. And around everybody who saw that, she was talking to a woman, by the way, thought, what kind of medieval biblical fucking nonsense is this evil?
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I mean, but that's where we're at. I mean, really, I think you're going to find in the next few weeks their whole, and by they, I mean them, their whole argument is going to be, hey, it's not that bad. I mean, because they don't have anything else. They know it's the worst thing you can do. Next to incest and cannibalism, there's one thing we know you oughtn't to do, and that's force people who are underage to have sex with you, because it's not sex, it's rape. And you can split it infinitum, you can split hairs, you can characterize it 1,000 different ways. It's a pretty easy concept to understand. You really oughtn't do that. You oughtn't have Congress with your relatives, and you oughtn't have Congress with dead people. And I think we can all agree on those.
I don't
see.
I mean, you said you're against cannibalism.
Well, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
If I was really hungry,
you and I are on a boat, a dinghy. We're surviving. We're the last two survivors of a shipwreck on a dinghy.
Right.
I died.
Just Jaws, yeah. Well, if you died, I mean, I'm just saying in general, people really oughtn't eat other people. But I mean, Megyn Kelly said that there was no such thing as Black Santa Claus, which is one of the greatest statements in the history of news, because there's no such thing as Santa Claus. Actually, there is, of course. But to say that there's no Black Santa is just amazing. This is a woman, by the way, that NBC felt the need to put on her network until she drove herself off the network by being such a racist idiot. Yeah. She had Alex Jones on for one of her first guests on her chatty, new, groovy, I'm a blonde, Aryan Nazi heifer show or whatever it was. And she's consistently been bitter and awful. It's only because she's good looking and skinny and blonde that they kind of really keep trotting her out there every 2 seconds. And,
well, she's smart and tough.
Yeah, that's right. Like Bill O'Reilly was, hey, don't come at me. Don't get my Irish dander up, or I'll hit you with one of those great arguments, like I did with the woman who was massaging me and when I took my knob out and she had the loofah and whatnot.
He's back. Like I love watching him and Chris Cuomo talk. I'm like, those are the two gentlemen I'd like to have around my kids. So, I mean, going back to just this Epstein thing, I feel as though there are a lot of people on the right who are clamoring for this, and he promised to give it to them. They all did. And now he brought them to the promised land. And it's like, nope. And you're not going to have it. And they're upset. And I don't know if you're paying attention to this very charismatic, handsome young man, Nick Fuentes.
Oh, yeah. But he has a lot to say. He really does.
And he's rising, hoods off, hoods fully off. And I think splintering the MAGA movement. Yesterday, when all this was breaking, Fuentes tweeted that MAGA is dead. I then wrote, the day that MAGA died, you replied to my post with lyrics to the day that MAGA died. And your reply to my post, I woke up to a friend going, you need to read this thread on the show, which I did this morning. It was very, very funny. But my question to you is just about him and the splintering that I think he and others are causing, and that this Epstein thing is causing. Is MAGA dead?
I don't know if it's dead, but they're certainly, contrary to what all the media will tell you, they're not one big unified front right this second. QAnon was a promise, right? It was an insane promise from the Philippines or whatever, that we were going to find out who was doing what, and we were going to get to what's what, and that there was pedophiles and pizza and this and that. And it turns out, hey, projection and reflection is the whole enchilada. And now here we are. They promised they were going to reveal it, and oops, it was the wrong person to reveal it to. So Nick Fuentes, that scintillating light in the darkness, isn't the only MAGA person that's pissed off. There's dozens of them, and they're all over. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I refuse to call it X because X is a Nazi symbol. And they're all over Twitter going bananas because they feel betrayed. And I think that's the first, the first chip in the ice, right? This gigantic white iceberg of Nazism. They're going to attack each other almost before they attack everyone else, because they have these rules that they made up that are all pretend rules, because there is no reality. John Podesta was not doing anything. Hillary Clinton is not a criminal. Hillary Clinton is probably more integrity than almost any politician as far as doing dishonest things. That's not something that she was really doing a lot of. And They made it all up. Oh, the FBI, like for instance, putting Kash Patel at the head of the FBI was a way to destroy the FBI because he wanted to get to the bottom of that deep state. And by deep state, it was the FBI that was investigating things like, oh, I don't know, the Epstein files. So to answer your question in a very long and roundabout way, it's going to splinter apart. And let me put it this way too. When the great pumpkin dies, I don't see everybody rushing to JD, to the couch pigs. You know, I don't really see the couch pig leading the team with a torch.
No way.
He's not someone that, first of all, that's a Teal backed person. And then, oh, wait a minute. Are Teal and Musk speaking? Wait a minute. Are the last Koch brothers speaking to Teal? Or is Zuckerberg speaking to, you know what I mean? All of a sudden it becomes a feeding frenzy.
I think these politicians, these senators and others who were made in a lab by a billionaire, an individual billionaire, they don't have a long shelf life. They're good tools to get things done, but like Trump made his name as a fucking piece of shit, awful person, and on the TV being a shitty person, by the way, and all of his life, like he made the reputation over like 30 years of being that guy, and all these other people that are just made, overnight into, there's no narrative to cling on to, and you can't assign them, unless it's a billionaire, I guess. Someone but even then they don't have that. There's no one like it. There's no one like it, except for Elon Musk. And he can't carry anything. He can't hold a thought. He's
universally detested too. I think, I really think if you did polling on him, which you oughtn't do, but should you do polling on Musk, you'd find that he's wildly unpopular. He's right below testicular cancer and right above room mold. Everybody knows that he's a nonsense person, that he's not intellectual, that he stole the ideas that he got. And then when you see him speak, like for instance, that wonderful joke he told that was on social media last week.
Yeah.
You get nothing but a facelifted K guy who's tripping his balls off on a dazzling variety of made up drugs and who created a car that is a dumpster that blows up. And, I agree with you. Trump spent a lifetime building this brand. And like Goering said about Hitler, he made us feel like Germans again. And it's really that simple with white people. Trump's made white people feel fucking white again. Like, God damn it. For a minute there was queers and black people were talking and they were so smart and they made my dick shrink and all that. And now I feel good again. And I don't think JD Vance provides that soothing balm, that they want.
I wanted to ask you this. I'm glad you just said that, because it reminded me of this conversation I had recently with a person, and I was basically saying, I recognize kind of the privilege I've had as a white man, and I always joke about, I recognize my white privilege, and not only that, just it's pretty amazing. Like, this picture in my face, my low body fat, even my skin tone itself. It's not too white, it's not too brown, obviously, thank God. But I recognize what it's afforded me to a certain extent. I've also worked hard. And this person goes, well, but don't feel guilty about it. And I wanted to ask you, I immediately said, there's no guilt. I don't feel guilty about being white. What I feel is responsible for using whatever I got to try to open doors for other people. And I feel like I should be honest about history and socioeconomics and our racist everything that's constant. Like, I'm curious, I'm woke, I think I should be. But it's not guilt. So my question to you is, what if someone said to you, Greg, you're always going after the whites, the blancos, and it's because why do you feel so guilty about your whiteness, about being this beautiful, talented white man?
Right. Well, I mean, in this world, we're lucky because this is white world. Like, we were born into the white world and we happen to be white guys. And that was a giant stroke of cosmic luck. If you were born 500 years ago in another continent, you might have been a slave your whole life, or forced to work in a salt mine or something. So I think it's exactly what you said. I don't feel guilty about it. I feel that because I have the means and a small platform, Why not amplify other voices? Why not point out inequity? Why not point out the hilarity that white guys game and play and gamble on sports and watch pornography and wear bad clothes and wear baseball caps in public and say things like, well, I haven't read anything about it. Here's what I think. And they get away with that forever and ever. Why shouldn't I make fun of them? You spend any time around people who aren't white guys and find the intelligence, politesse, bearing, wherewithal, demeanor, morality, inquisitiveness, and a yearning to learn, to know different things. And then you get around white people and they literally will say things like, well, I didn't know that. And they're not even embarrassed. They're not even embarrassed. Now, I'm never mad at people for being uneducated, because that's something people can't help because of economics. But being incurious is something I don't forgive. I do not forgive when people go, I didn't know Kamala was going to give everybody money. She said, I didn't know she said that Trump was going to do all this. Why didn't you know it? We had a fucking 2-year election, and then we had a concentrated 107-day election where it was shoved at you every second. And don't you have one of these little magic boxes that you carry around with you like everyone else? That, you know, inside this little magic box that you carry is all the information you ever want to know. And you don't even have to touch it. You could go, hey, Siri, tell me all the shit I don't know. But
Absolutely.
They don't. And that's why I hate white people.
I mean, if I really wanted to bend over backwards, I could say, you know, it's your algorithm, it's the silo that you're in that's not giving you the right information. But I wouldn't, because it's not hard to find. If you just try a little bit. I mean, right now I was monitoring Fox News a little bit last night because I have the YouTube TV and I do multi-view, Greg. I can watch all 4 networks. I do just to see what they're covering. And Fox, of course, wasn't talking about Epstein.
No, as I recall, when I spun by last night, because I don't have 4 TVs like you, Pete.
You should work harder.
I was in the hotel and I was skimming by the channels. Yeah, there was some other very important topic. Something about American workers aren't doing something or something. And then every other channel, of course, was all Epstein all the time.
Oh, they're mad at him. Yeah, because they were covering this because he said something about the HB1 visa. And he's like, we don't have enough talented Americans. And everybody on the right was like, you're not following the capitalist playbook, bro. Like, do not replace us. There's tons of talented people, which is some truth to. Go ahead.
Well, you just asked me, is MAGA dead? That thing that he said to Laura Ingraham about that there aren't enough, that we have to go to other countries. And she said, this is the woman who went like this at the Republican National Convention, who threw a Nazi salute. She said, there's lots of people here. And he went, no, there's not. There aren't. We have to go to other countries. And it's like, wow. So again, part of the MAGA breakdown today is what he said. That, as much as Epstein, really fucked them off. And quite right. Let's be honest. If you're going to be a populist, be a goddamn populist. And being a populist means you're for the people. It's the Latin part of the word there, you know?
Well, one of the great populist policies he's just floated, it seems to be going over a lot like a lead balloon, which is a 50-year mortgage.
Oh my God, the 50-year
You can pay $800,000 for a $300,000. And everybody hates it. Like that right-wing black guy on Fox Business, Charles Payne, he's such a dick. He's like, oh, yeah, I don't like it.
It's the worst. He doesn't have any good ideas. His only idea is to steal and loot. If it wasn't obvious during the last term, now here we are where half of the White House is a open pit with no building going on in it. Remember how it was so important the ballroom go up immediately? There's no building going on. Someone took a picture this morning. It was on Blue Sky. I call it Blue Ski, where they said, I'm in seat 4D flying over DC. This is a picture from my seat. There's no cranes or bulldozers.
That's
just
bad.
A big, empty, vacant lot next to the
I hope it's that way at the midterm elections. I hope it's that way at the but yeah, it's so bad. All right. Finally, just got to ask you about specifically What do you think about the direction of the kind of Democratic Party with this Mamdani win? And I guess there's this Portland, is it Portland mayor who's also like socialist Democrat just got. I hate the labels. I would rather talk about the issues, and I would rather talk about the problems. But like when we talk about moderate or extremists or socialist or progressive, it just really loses, I think, so much of the importance of the conversation about the problems. And also people are so afraid of like social democracy, which is certainly what FDR ushered into this country. And you're more traveled than almost anybody I know, than most Americans for sure. You've traveled all over the world. It's my understanding statistically, I don't know how you measure happiness, but you can measure mortality. It's my understanding in a lot of the countries that have the tenets that people like Mamdani and Bernie Sanders and others want to introduce to America or bring back to America, those people live longer. You can measure that, and harder to measure, but still, they always say they're happier. And I was just talking to an Australian person who basically said to me, well, you do live in America. That's tough. So how do you talk about this with people being, you've traveled everywhere. You're very enlightened, cultured Renaissance man. What do you think?
Well, to address the first part, I've already come up with an answer that I've been thinking about for several days.
Oh,
I don't actually believe in that part of the Democratic Party. However, having said that, I do believe in the big tent. And I think that the Democratic Party has room for everyone. And I mean everyone, from social Democrats to slightly right-wing Democrats, i.e. the one who left in West Virginia, Joe Manchin. People were mad at him always. But you have to understand, he has to go back to his constituents and tell them what's what. And they don't want to hear defund the police. They don't want to hear socialized anything. We're talking about white people in West Virginia, and West Virginia is 98% white. So it wasn't the Joe Manchin. I didn't love him as a person. I'm just saying different people have to respond to different constituencies. The fact that Mamdani won in New York and this woman whose name escapes me in Seattle won, good for them. Let's hope they do a great job, and let's hope it works out for people. That's how I feel about it. I would like the Democratic Party to be glorious and colorful and have every kind of candidate, trans candidates, white dudes, but especially let's center the center of the party, which is Black women. Black women seem to know everything about what's going on. They vote for what they call, and we all should call, harm reduction, meaning maybe you didn't love Joe Biden, but you knew that he was a better candidate than Donald Trump. So this goes back to every election I had to vote in. We're talking about Reagan and stuff. I voted for Fritz Mondale, Walter Mondale in 1984. And he did not win, but he carried one state. Mind you, that the turnout in that election was dismal. It was about 30%. So he didn't win by a landslide either, Reagan. You always have to consider that, I think, more than anything else. I know you're like more fiercely independent and don't go with party. And I'm way more Democratic Party. And I'm way more, like I say, for me, Kamala Harris was my ultimate candidate. One, she was from San Francisco. I'm from San Francisco. Two, she was a Black woman, who are the people that I would like to see in power, because I don't see a lot of Black women becoming right-wing Nazi idiots other than your odd Candace Owen and whatnot. And look at Angela Alsobrook and Lauren Underwood, the women that are Jasmine Crockett. There are some fabulous, Black women in the mayor of every bloody city, Atlanta,
DC.
We had a Black mayor in San Francisco, right? DC, everywhere. So I think there's room for all that thought. And I think we should entertain all that. When it comes to pragmatics, however, that's where I get chuffed off with the left wing of the party seems to be more interested in ranking on Democrats all the time than the real enemy. And the real enemy is the fucking Republicans, you guys.
Yeah, I bet you we disagree. I bet you we disagree on nothing. Also, Mary Sheffield was just elected Detroit mayor, Black woman. They're pretty
yeah, Mary Sheffield. And is she good looking? She looks like a model.
I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, she's a very, very attractive woman.
Oh my God. Did you see her dancing the hustle the other night after she won? They were in a nightclub and she was doing, I'm not kidding, the hustle, which we learned when I was 14.
Understanding it's always good to be an attractive politician. But my understanding is that's
free
Her ninth best quality. Well, there's her. There's JB Pritzker. So
Paul Gosar.
Lucy
Graham.
Yeah, no, I think I like I think it matters. I'm realist, so I think like your style, your presentation, all that matters. But policy wise, I mean, I think I identify a lot with someone like Elizabeth Warren, or someone like, she's not a politician, but like Lena Khan, who is the former FTC chief. Like, I want someone who understands how to regulate the things. I want someone who understands how to regulate capitalism. We're not getting rid of it anytime soon. I want someone who understands how to prevent consolidation. I want someone who protects consumers and from predatory anything industry. So I don't know what politics that is, but I want government to protect me from dirty, filthy capitalists. And then we can talk about everything else as well when it comes to gender and race and all those important things. But I think that, your Elizabeth Warrens out there, if it was, but I also love AOC. I'd vote. I think she should be president. What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's where we disagree. I wouldn't vote for her. If she was the only one and she was up against a Republican and she was my only choice, I would vote for her. How
dare you come into this space and say
you invited me? I'm going to go Scott Jennings on your ass.
You know what? I'm not even, based on that criticism, which wasn't really a criticism, I'm not going to plug your new album, which is available today, Free State of California. No one should buy it. Earlier I said everyone should buy it. Now I say no. If you bought it, can you return it? Can you return a comedy album?
All right, I love AOC.
Imagine if someone said, I listened to your new album and then I liked it, but I returned it to get my money back because I couldn't.
Right. I undownloaded it and I demanded that SoundCloud or whoever it was I bought it from, I demanded that Spotify give more money to right-wing comedians because they haven't done enough so far.
See, I'm going to let you go. See Greg live. Go to whoslive.com to see the improv group. They're on tour right now. He's in South Carolina right now. See him doing stand-up again on New Year's Eve for the 5th year in a row. Punchline, is that right?
Oh yeah, I've been way longer than that, but this will be our 5th year in a row making an album.
It's the 5th year in a row. You always do New Year's there, but this is your.
I've played San Francisco New Year's since 1985. I think I've missed one year.
Wow.
Yeah,
wonderful.
I have had the very good fortune to get to go to San Francisco every year for New Year's. And I'm going to mention Jackie Kashian's playing with me, and Jackie Kashian's a headliner, and she has her own new special out, and she has her own new albums. I got in touch with her and I said, listen, because she knows every woman comic in America. I'm sorry, I know you want to let me go, but let me just tell you this quickly.
No, I don't.
I don't play with perform with other guys on the bill. I didn't the last 2 or 3 years I was on the road doing stand-up. I know there's a couple other guys who do that. I think Jesselnick and a few others. I don't think Anthony does it, but I quit having men be the opener in the middle because then it was 3 men. So I thought, well, if I have 2 women, then it's a little more representative of perhaps the people in the room. Because when do you go into a comedy club and it's 100% men? That would be never. So, and certainly the staff isn't. In any case, that was my reasoning. And I got in touch with Jackie and I said, listen, can you hit me to some women that might want to do New Year's with me? And she said, I'll bloody do New Year's with you. And so I was like, oh my God, that was like my dream come true. And I told my wife, Jennifer, and she's like, awesome, Jackie's, because Jackie's fantastic. And I've known her forever.
That's a great show. I almost want to fly out there for that show. Jackie is great for a woman. Do you think women are funny? You think women are funny? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I'm weak like that. I love it. Jennifer Saunders. We were talking about Joan Rivers in the bus today because I had the fortune to know Joan Rivers, and she was very funny indeed.
I got to
very caustic.
I got hired on a pilot she was doing for Comedy Central to do warm up on this pilot, and she was really cool to me. Unlike Michael Ian Black, who didn't talk to me at all, but luckily I remind him of that every time we talk now because we're good friends. Yeah, I tell him every time. I remember when I warmed up for your pilot on Comedy Central and you made no eye contact with me. Anyway, Joan Rivers, I love Michael. Joan Rivers was so nice to me, and then her manager called me and said, Joan loves you. Would you open for her in Atlantic City? And I was like, well, I don't really think women are funny, but I guess for June, it was the greatest. Like, I bombed.
Yeah.
One of my jokes was bomb. It was a like hacky George Bush's stupid joke. And she had a surprisingly conservative audience, 1,200 people in Atlantic City. And it's just not going good. And when you're bombing in front of another comic, all I hear is her cackling at my bomb. And it gave me like the confidence to finish. Then she went on and did the most offensive joke I've ever seen to this day, which was basically on 9/11. She's a well-known widow. On 9/11, guys were throwing themselves out the building, and all I could think was, competition. And I'm like, they're booing me. They were booing me because
because you said George Bush was mildly stupid. Yeah.
Meanwhile, and she was just amazing.
She was.
And so great. Jackie that's going to be a great show on New Year's Eve. You and Jackie, I love that. Anybody that's anywhere near Northern California, you should fly to California to the Punchline to see that show on New Year's. Spend New Year's with Jackie and Greg Proops. That's what I want to say. Buy the new album right now. Take your money out. You buy it electronically. That's what you do now. And just go buy it because Greg is the greatest.
If you press the link today, it'll be pre-ordered. And if you press the link tomorrow, somehow the link magically orders it so that it downloads. So I don't know if it happens at midnight tonight or there's ferries that come to your house in the morning or whatever, but somehow it happens.
That's actually what happens. According to in the fine print, it says there's ferries that deliver free state of California right into your phone and into your brain.
And if you call that phone number, it'll actually, there's a joke on it's a live phone number, 415, what is it? 335. I can't see my own 7384. You can ring that number.
What happens when you call it?
A piece of the show plays.
Oh,
a guy. Do you remember the elf part of the show where the guy spills the Sprite? And
it might have been nice. Your voice is like really funny, and you did a whole elf. You did like 4 disparate elf voices. You said one of the jokes, something you made up. You said 7-Up is just Sprite in a Coke can, which isn't perfect. But God, I laughed out loud at that. I was like, "What? He's splitting the hair of Sprite in 7-Up in a thoughtful bit." It's really good. I loved it. I love the whole album. Everybody do yourself a favor. I guess the easiest plug is gregproops.com. Easy to spell. Go get the new album. Is there a better for people listening or watching live to say? Or
no, gregproops.com is where all the whole enchilada's there.
There you go. Go get it. Thank you very much, Greg, for joining me. Always amazing.
Hey, Pete, thanks so much, man. Every time. For real.
Thanks everybody for watching live, and I'm out of here. We'll talk to you later. And